Now, we know that young people have borne the brunt of the economic crisis caused by COVID. Younger people have faced the biggest increases in unemployment and education, and apprenticeships and training have also been very seriously affected. Now, though, a careers network based in Liverpool and London that connects young people with employers and education providers has raised millions of pounds to expand what it does. And as you can imagine, its services are in higher demand than ever, with 5,000 young people joining the platform every week. Let's find out more, why don't we? Co-founder of Springpod, Sam Hyams, joins the programme. Now, Sam, welcome to you. So 5,000 people joining a week. How big a number is that compared to pre-COVID levels?
So pre-COVID, we were expecting about 1,000 students to join every week, so it's shot up massively. We've now got over 150,000 young people using Springpod, both the online platform and our virtual work experience programs, to prepare themselves for the world of work. So it's a massive increase, and it's going up every single week.
We know, very sadly, the impact that COVID has had on the younger generation, particularly people who are just leaving school and moving into the workforce or higher education for the very first time. You say that you managed to level that playing field. How do you do that?
Absolutely. So one of the main ways is through our virtual work experience programs. So by taking virtual work experience into a virtual setting, we can remove all of those historic barriers of geography. So the difficulty of traveling to work experience placements, the cost of travel for disadvantaged students. So we can we can also do it at scale. So we can help thousands of young people go through virtual work experience programs every single week that we operate them. Versus sort of 30 students or so taking part in a physical placement.
People may be watching this wondering, what is a virtual work experience program?
It's a good question. So we aim to create virtual work experience placements that mimic in-person work experience as closely as possible. So you can't do everything you can in person, of course, and they're still really important for building your communication skills, your teamwork, your softer employability skills. But the virtual programs that we develop, they run for 2 weeks. Students typically do around about 10 hours of work on them. And then we have live webinars throughout those 2 weeks, where students can ask questions to real representatives from the organisation that we're working with. So that might be Airbus, it might be Nestle, it might be the NHS, but they can get real advice. They also take part in assessments and exercises throughout those 2 weeks, and then they receive written feedback from the employer, and a certificate for completing it as well, that obviously sets them up for joining that organisation in the future.
And what examples can you give of how it's worked really well and maybe even resulted in a job at the end of it? Absolutely.
So I think a really stark example from the stats side of things is Airbus. So we work very closely with Airbus. And pre-COVID, they ran a fantastic in-person work experience program that reached 30 students every time they ran it, and they ran it 5 times a year. So that's 150 students a year. We worked with Airbus to deliver a virtual program in December that reached 2,500 students in 2 weeks. So the scale is massive, and you can also reach a much more diverse audience that can help with their diversity and inclusion targets, and also with social mobility, as I mentioned before. We also have lots of parents and students sending us sort of their thanks for helping them secure apprenticeships off the back of the work experience programs that they've completed as well.
Do enough young people know about you?
Not yet, but we're working on it. It's as I said, we've got 150,000 students. We're growing really fast, but this latest funding will really help us accelerate that to grow both our UK market penetration, but also look at new international territories this coming year as well.
And just briefly, I know you've secured a good chunk of money. What are you going to do with it? Just briefly.
Sure. So we've secured 2.25 million from some fantastic new investors, Triple Point, Cass Entrepreneurship Fund and MSIF. We're going to be using it to sort of supercharge our growth in the UK. So we're going to be supporting 500,000 more young people this coming year. We're also going to be using it to expand into the US and also into the Middle East.
Well, leave it there. Sam, thank you very much. Sam Hyams.
Thank you.